So talk to me, go through the first 2 minutes of the game, because the first hour of a Civ game is always addictive, and then it becomes far more about what you want to be doing afterwards.
Absolutely. Actually, the first few minutes of Beyond Earth are terrifying, because you land on this alien planet, and you know, that feeling of being on a new planet, and just like in Civ, you're very fragile at the beginning, only this time, the planet already has life on it. It's got beetles crawling around the landscape, it has siege worms, it has raptors, and there you are with the Marine unit, you know, maybe protecting your city. It feels much more fragile. And so the beginning of this game, you're really about finding your space where you're going to be able to survive in. So you start with your settlement. You know, you're sending an explorer around to investigate the land around it. You're going to say, okay, well, there's an alien nest over here. There's some good resources over here. I need to make sure I deal with the threats coming from this direction. Maybe in the future I can branch out this way. But first it's about ensuring your survivability, and then it's about sort of building your people out and making sure that you're going to be able to write that next chapter for mankind.
So there are 3 core fundamentals that you're building your civilization around in Beyond Earth. Can you explain those concepts?
Sure. These are the affinities, and they represent 3 sort of competing visions for the future of humanity, and you can think of them as sort of the next stage of humanity. They're harmony, purity, and supremacy. And a harmony faction believes that humanity needs to transform itself into something like a native species of the planet. So they do things like genetic modification and gene splicing, and they're going to change people into a native life form. Supremacy believes that human beings need to be independent of any world they land on. So, you know, you don't want to tie yourself too closely to one planet, because if something happens to that world, like happened to Earth, human beings run the risk of going extinct, and that would be bad. So they go into augmentation and cybernetics, and really want to approach this as a tool. Mankind the toolmaker extended to the next level. The other one is purity, which is really, really interesting. Instead of changing humanity, they want to change the planet. So they want to take this world and they want to transform it into Earth. So a purity player is going to want to transform more of the planet. The harmony player is going to want to leave it intact. The supremacy player is going to think that both of those guys have the idea wrong, that you need to be independent from that, and they're going to pursue different approaches towards the end of the game. Those affinities tie into victory conditions as well too. So each one of those affinity paths has its own victory that it's pursuing. Harmony, you want to merge your consciousness with that of the planet. Purity, you want to bring a warp gate and bring refugees from Earth to this new Eden that you've created. And supremacy is kind of purity on its head. You're going to build a warp gate, but you're going to go back to Earth and you're going to liberate the people who are back there from their fleshy, earthbound existence.
So for fans of Alpha Centauri, this is a very easy concept. Beyond Earth makes sense. They can see the world like I just saw the world and go, okay, I can understand where planet fits into this and how the different factions and different ideologies work. How do you explain Beyond Earth to someone who knows nothing about Alpha Centauri?
Sure. It's a case of, what do you want the future of humanity to be? If you were going to lead people and settle on an alien planet, you know, what would you need to do in order to ensure the survival of humanity as a species? You know, what are the decisions you're going to make regarding the world around you?
What is the core thing you want people to take away from Beyond Earth at this point?
That this is a solid new chapter in Civilization as a franchise. Civ has been around almost for 25 years at this point. It's sold millions and millions of copies. People have spent hundreds and thousands of hours on it. It's, you know, anybody who's played Civ can tell you it's a game. You're like, one more turn, you know, okay, fine, the sun is coming up, I'll call in sick. There's always a point in the project where I miss leaving on time because I'm playing the game. And currently, Beyond Earth holds the record for keeping me at the office longest, at 90 minutes after I was supposed to leave, when I'm, you know, sitting there clicking going, I'm not really doing anything this evening, and this is very compelling.
So when Civilization 5 first came out,
yes,
there was, I don't agree with it, but there was criticism that it didn't go far enough like Civilization 4 did. Now the expansions, of course, got to that point. Will players, when they go into Beyond Earth, have a lot of that familiarity if they had played Civilization 5 and the corresponding expansions, or are we sort of resetting back, or is it very different entirely?
It's very different. There's a lot of ideas that were introduced in the expansions that are in this core game. For example, Covert Ops, which is the new take on espionage. That's in this game. kind of from the get-go. I think people will recognize Civ 5 systems in there, but there's a very different take on them. The tech tree isn't this flat linear structure
the
anymore.
tech tree is an entire
it's
web
a web
now.
Yeah, but it's not just a web, it's a web with leaf text underneath it. So you kind of move from node to specialization to new node to specialization. I mean, it's a rabbit hole that you can definitely go down. The virtues, which are what you accumulate and spend your culture points on, they have some interesting choices associated with them too. You're in a very interesting spot in Beyond Earth, because what you're seeing is the last kind of old gasp of Earth nation state kind of, or superpower, generating these missions to go off and colonize worlds. So you're picking a sponsor, and the sponsor has a geopolitical identity, but that's going to change. I mean, that's not going to, once you land on that planet, you know, your attitude towards Earth is open to negotiation at that point. And, you know, are you going to let those old kind of rivalries fester, and are you going to bring them with you, or are you going to pursue something new? Are you going to ally with somebody who was your geopolitical enemy back on the planet, but you're both pursuing a harmony course now, and there's one really aggressive supremacy player? You know, maybe you want to gang up with them. And in this case, it's the new world that's driven the future of diplomacy. And I think that feels very exciting.